man. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
You can blame me for this. I thought Ted had a sizzle. He did not. Neal does have a sizzle. Fortunately, that introduces him. For those of you that do not know him, this is CEO of YouTube, a job you've had for?
About 9 months. Yeah. I've been at YouTube a very long time, but in this role for about 9 months.
I need to start with, I want to ask you about that, of course. I want to start with sports.
Sorry about your Dodgers, by the way.
Thank you for that. Well, I'm going to get back at you. So how did you feel about the Lakers beating the Warriors in the playoffs?
Let's go. Back and forth here.
NFL. YouTube made a very big deal with the NFL to carry Sunday Ticket, among other things, paying, I think, more than $2 billion a year, if reports are to be believed.
Don't believe everything you read.
How's that going? How are you feeling about the partnership? How are you feeling about how Sunday Ticket's doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's very early on. We're a few weeks into the season, but I feel really, really good. I feel that the first and foremost, my priorities literally from the day that we signed the deal was on the user experience, our fan experience on YouTube, joint fans of the NFL and YouTube. We have millions and millions of sports fans on the platform, and the whole point of Sunday Ticket was to super serve those fans. And so everything from what gets all the headlines, which is multi-view and kind of 4 games at once and what have you, to latency, to the clarity of the picture, and then all the features and things like that we have, that users of YouTube TV have known and loved on Sunday Ticket. And so really, really focusing on that. And that has gone, knock wood, really, really well from all the feedback that we've seen. So I feel great about the product that we put out there.
You like the multi-view?
I use the multi-view every week myself. I like the multi-view, especially the one with Red Zone in one of the windows for me. And that's like, as a huge sports fan, like that is like kind of like the perfect Nirvana experience for me.
Yeah. How many people are paying for this thing already?
We don't break out that number but I'm happy with the adoption of the product. We have, there's obviously lots of fans that are diehard NFL fans, but the whole point of this also, in addition to this kind of, what we hope to be an incredible product experience, is also consumer choice, meaning that with a couple of taps on your phone, you can now sign up for this incredible, premium service from the NFL on YouTube TV, but also on YouTube, importantly, through primetime channels. So that consumer choice has been a really important part of this experience as well. Now, within seconds, you can be up and running. You don't have to wait for a guy to come and install, a dish on your house and the like.
Now, I'm curious, when your deal with the NFL was first announced, I admit I was surprised because I had written all about you guys funding original programming and then not funding original programming, and it just seemed like the Google, Alphabet, YouTube DNA was, we want to be this platform that doesn't pay for things, pick winners, we're sort of neutral. And you're also a company that makes almost all of its money from advertising. Sunday Ticket is a paid service for the most part. What was the strategy behind where it fits into the broader YouTube and Google strategy?
Yeah, so there's 2 parts to your, 2 premises to your question there. The first is we are ultimately about what we all as viewers want from YouTube. So in terms of whether the content is paid for or not, doesn't change what the user experiences in terms of what's recommended in our algorithms, what shows up when you open up the app in the home feed, what's recommended to you after you watch a video. That takes into account your personal preferences, and that's the North Star, just to be very clear about that. But in a strategic sense, really, it was as simple as the fact that we have, we're one of the largest sports platforms out there if you think about YouTube. Everything from our YouTube creators that are focused on sports, creators like Destroying and many, many others, to the consumption of highlights from all of these leagues for many, many years, including in-game highlights in many cases, to live sports. We've carried live sports on our platform before. Paulistão, for example, the soccer league in Brazil, various live soccer events throughout Europe. And so we have had that as part of our DNA overall. And Sunday Ticket really just fits into that story. And the kind of the second premise to your question, I would also argue, Lucas, that yes, we are an ad-supported business. That is our primary means of monetization on behalf of our creators and partners on our platform. But we are also a subscription business. And YouTube TV is a meaningful part of our business. YouTube Premium, of course, is a meaningful part of our business. And so Sunday Ticket fits into that category as well. We have I like to think of it as twin engines of our revenue growth. We have obviously an AVOD business, but we also now have a meaningful SVOD business. And we want to continue to invest in both because my belief is those two things reinforce each other.
You talked about being a platform for sports and having different rights. As I unfairly mentioned at the top, you're a big NBA fan. Those rights are coming up. Are you interested?
So what I will say is we're taking it one step at a time. Right now, the NFL Sunday Ticket is a big area of focus for us. And again, as I said, getting that viewer experience right, making that game day experience on Sunday flawless and seamless. And you should expect from us a lot more innovation there in terms of products, in terms of creator integrations, all the things that our fans, especially younger fans of the NFL on YouTube, expect. You should see more of that through the season and in the many seasons to come. So that's the focus. Regarding the NBA, they have been longtime partners. They operate one of the largest channels on our platform. My 15-year-old is a huge sports fan just like me. He watches a lot of NBA highlights, and he watches them on YouTube through the lens and the analysis of a lot of his favorite creators. And so we have a long partnership with them, but in terms of our focus right now, it's about this NFL experience.
So not no, but not yes. When I talked to a lot of people before this, asking them what I should ask you, I'd say the number one question I got by far was, please ask about shorts. We hate shorts. You guys have put a lot of resources into YouTube Shorts over the last couple of years. You have released a lot of numbers about how great you think it's doing, but a lot of your longer-term creators are upset because they feel like it's sort of the platform's trying to force everyone into something that they don't want to do. I know you've been asked this a million times, but I'm just curious, what do you say to those creators who are upset about it as to why you care so much about shorts and why you think it's a good fit for YouTube?
What I would say, first of all, to those creators, even before answering that question, is that choice is up to our creators. I mean, we have been very clear from the early days, from the launch of Shorts now 3 years ago, that ultimately that's a creator-driven decision. Nobody knows their audience better on our platform than our creators and the means by which they want to engage with that audience, first and foremost. Now, having said that, I think that there's two things that are important here. One is viewer expectations. Viewers increasingly, especially when they come to YouTube, have an expectation of all forms of video, truly multi-format. And it's not just about sort of what we call sort of traditional VOD or traditional long form on YouTube today, but it's everything from, those 15-minute VODs to 15-hour live streams to 15-second shorts to podcasts to music. And so all of those, our viewers, and they show it both in terms of their feedback, but also in the data, expect that on YouTube. Shorts today is 70 billion views a day. That number's up from 50 billion in January. So the viewers are voting with their behavior. And the way that our recommendation algorithms work is that it is sensitive to that viewer input in terms of how what is recommended in the feed. The second big thing that I would say is that creation is changing as well. Creation is much more, mobile first, of course. It's participatory in nature, and so because of those things, it's important for YouTube to play a meaningful role there. And what I have seen is that in general, it is incremental to the experience both on the viewer side and the creator side. We have lots of creators that now do both long form and short form, but we have lots of creators that will continue to only focus on long form. And importantly, we now have lots of creators that have a presence on YouTube, both in terms of building an audience, but also importantly in the long run, monetization through the doorway of Shorts, and that wouldn't have existed without our investment there.
Okay.
So that's how I would answer that.
I'm curious about that. Is there, because monetization for you guys on Shorts is still very new, is there an existing company, platform, anything that has effectively monetized short form video? And we're talking what you do on Shorts, TikTok, not the traditional YouTube, which it still blows my mind because I used to think of YouTube as a short form video platform.
Perspectives change, sure. I think, so look, what I'll say is that the feedback that I get, and I spend a lot of time, not just meeting and talking with our creators, but also with advertisers. And I think that there's a lot of excitement about being able to connect with their consumers, prospective consumers, on a feed-like product like Shorts. And by the way, that is not just for kind of classic feed formats like direct response formats. It's for brand building and awareness formats as well. And we see interest and demand on both of those pieces. I would say for us, Lucas, there, honestly, like we're still in the very, very early days, like literally like first or second inning kind of early days. There is a lot, in my experience, and before I was at YouTube, as you know, I used to run our display and video ads business at Google, and my experience is that it takes years to build up that monetization capability because it takes years to build those ad products that advertisers are looking for. And so we're in the very early stages of that journey, but I'm quite optimistic.
You mentioned your long time at Google and now YouTube. How do you see YouTube changing under your leadership? And did Susan, your predecessor, who you worked with for a very long time, give you any advice as you stepped into the role?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so first of all, Susan and I have worked together forever, both in the ads business first, and then now at YouTube for the last 8 or 9 years. And she's not just a colleague, she's like a great friend and mentor of mine. And so I would say that the advice was a lot of what she and I would talk about even before the transition, which is our lifeblood at YouTube is our creators. And when I say the term creators broadly here, obviously our YouTubers, artists on our platform, our media partners, and that is really, when you walk the halls of YouTube, that is what you see in product reviews and business reviews. That is really kind of deep into our culture and DNA. And I think kind of the advice, both in terms of words and her actions, and hopefully people will see in mine, that is front and center in terms of everything we do. That's how we make decisions.
Do you feel that advertisers, people in media, view creators and some of the folks who are sort of original or endemic to your platform as equal to, say, the shows that are on Netflix?
Well, I'll ask you that question because you write about a lot of this. But I would say, look, I'll give you my opinion, which is I feel like that is frankly an artificial construct that was kind of maybe relevant 10 years ago. But when I meet with our partners, our creators, with our advertisers, that is, in my view, almost a relic of the past. If it comes up, I feel like it means that they're not really understanding what's going on in terms of media consumption. Because the most important part of that question is actually what viewers expect. And when you ask a young viewer, and our platform is a young platform, they don't make that distinction. The expectation is what I said earlier, which is everything from that 4-hour NFL game to that 10-hour gaming live stream to a 15-second short. There's me.
My 30-minute yoga videos.
Right, exactly. Their expectation is to find that that is distracting for me. I remember doing that. Like, I almost broke my back there. This was my foray as a shorts creator with Eric, who's awesome. And so that's the viewer expectation. What do you guys think? Do you think I could be a YouTube shorts creator? I'm a very good straight man to what our creators like to do. So that's
Look, I agree
line.
with you. I think I was in a meeting yesterday where someone asked a question that was similar to something I'd been asked a lot over the years, right? If you remember, there was briefly a video site called Quibi. And the whole premise of Quibi was that it was premium short form. And I remember sitting down for my first meeting with Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman, and I just didn't understand it because there was an assumption that what was happening on your platform was thereby lesser than, and there needed to be a more premium form of it, when it is very clear that there are billions of people who are perfectly happy with what they get on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, but I know that you do understand this. It shows up in viewer behavior. And by the way, I was just at Rhett and Link Studio yesterday, Mythical, and it's amazing what they've built. I mean, it's like nearly 100 employees across all functions. It's like this hotbed of creativity. Both of them are first and foremost incredibly creative people, but they are also enormously successful business entrepreneurs as well. And that is, what they do is, the new, variety show, the new talk show. And that if you're a young person in particular, like, well, how would you think about that any differently, better or worse, or what have you? That's just what to consume. I would take any creator's content, pick your favorite creator. Michelle Khare, I think, is in the audience. Like her boxing documentary, put that up against any piece of content. Why shouldn't it win awards? Why shouldn't it win Emmys, right? Like that is, in order to be relevant for viewers in today's world, I think that's where the industry needs to go, to all the points you just made.
Ready for a YouTube Emmy campaign. We have one audience question, and then I have to get to the key topic, which is YouTube doubling down on esports and competing with Twitch?
So I will say a couple things. So gaming and gamers have been probably one of our oldest and for the longest time, most important verticals on our platform, including esports, but really across the full gamut there. A lot of what is consumed there is video on demand, which is kind of the core essence of our YouTube platform. But increasingly, a lot of that is live. And our investment there has been twofold. One is distribution, so make sure that esports gamers or gamers in general, or live streamers even more broadly, have access to audiences that they can easily be discovered. If you are a fan and one of your favorite esports or gamers is going live, we should be able to find it. And then the second is monetization capabilities. So insertion of ads and things like that, that's been a priority for us, but also alternative monetization. So our investment in things like super chat, super stickers,
subscriptions,
channel memberships, channel gifting, has actually, a lot of it has been born out of and driven through the gaming community.
We did the audience. I do want to ask the poll question because it brings us to a topic that you spent a lot of time thinking and talking about recently, which is, you can see it right here.
Okay.
Will artificial intelligence have a positive or negative effect on the creator economy? I have a feeling I know your answer.
I mean, for me, I think it's going to be clearly positive. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to come with risks, by the way. I don't want to be glib about it. But I think it's going to be positive for a few reasons. And the way that we see, first of all, there's obviously a lot of conversation around artificial intelligence, particularly this year. But as you know, this has been an area that we have been investing in for many, many years. When you open up the feed and you get those recommendations, when you open up the app, what is that other than artificial intelligence? And so that is, it's like, it was the right answer, now it's shrinking. And so we've been investing in this for a very long time, both on the viewer side and the creator side. But just in general, the way I think about it, and we just announced a couple weeks ago at our Made on YouTube event, a number of AI-powered tools. But the key word there was tools, because it is meant to be AI in service of human creativity to enable a lot of those ideas and amazing sort of creative visions that our creators have, to do it in a way that was previously impossible, now possible. And I think we're in the early days of that, but the lens by which YouTube looks at all of that is through the lens of building tools for our creators to really enhance their creativity. And that's the focus of our roadmap of everything we build there.
And when you talk to your creators and your partners, one, is this a subject that comes up a lot? And two, are they as optimistic as you are, or are they more anxious about it?
So when we talk with our creators and partners, there's a question of, how quickly are we going to have access to these tools? So one of the ones I remember we announced was a tool that allowed through the power of generative AI when you open up YouTube Studio and you are staring at a blank canvas, it gives you ideas for what your next video might be. So if you're a travel vlogger, you want to produce a video about your recent trip to Portugal, it kind of lays out sort of what that itinerary could look like, what the ideas are. But then the creative vision has to come from the creator, and actually execution on it has to come from creators. But creators were incredibly excited about that because it takes away not just hours, but an enormous amount of stress otherwise in terms of producing content that their audience is going to love. So that's the feedback we get from creators. There are other questions that we do get, which I'm focused on, which is, with generative AI type tools, those are tools also potentially in the hands of bad actors. What do they do with that? Deep fakes, misinformation. And as you know, that has been a very big area of investment at YouTube for many, many years. And with AI, those rules don't change. What changes is the means by which we will have to enforce the community guidelines on our platform. But that's a commitment I have, and we are very focused on making sure that we can address that.
I'm curious on your perspective, because your company has went through sort of the earlier version of this, right? Where user-generated content was a new concept, and you had all these people who were upset because they thought that their stuff was being stolen, and you had a fairly contentious relationship with a lot of media companies that now seems far more harmonious. Now the company's in that position, I don't think that's so much you, because you're just policing the stuff that people upload, but the different engines and models that are sort of sucking in material. It feels inevitable that there will be some kind of both content ID system like you have and a licensing regime, but I'm wondering how you see that playing out over the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say there is back to kind of the lens through which we look at all of this technology. So there's two pieces. One is, of course, being part of Google, we should be at the forefront of tools and capabilities that come out of our investment in AI, everything from the base level foundation models through our partnerships with Google Research, Google DeepMind. But the other side, which is in the YouTube DNA, to your earlier question, is we are going to do everything that we do here through the lens of partnership and through the lens of making sure that it is creator first, creative first, right, across all of our partners. And that's the way those conversations have been going. And by the way, those are not just my words. You said it. We have a track record here. We have a track record through our investment and invention of technologies like Content ID that does two things. One is that it provides control to those rights holders. But the other thing that it does is it enables monetization, creates an entirely new pie that didn't exist before on behalf of those rights holders while allowing a lot of that creative expression to happen. We have found a way to strike that balance through technology and our principles before. I'm not saying that what will get invented here looks exactly like that, because there are different characteristics of generative AI than there are to, matching two pieces of copyrighted content. But you can see how those principles might apply, those broad principles. I announced a couple of principles in terms of how YouTube is going to approach this area over the summer. I did that in partnership with the music industry, with Solution.
This was your incubator?
With Universal Music Group and Solution and I had a joint announcement around it. But that second principle that we talked about was precisely about control and monetization for artists, and that was in the context of the music industry. But you can see how that concept of really putting creatives first applies across all of YouTube.
Okay, last question. YouTube today, I think people would agree, maybe not, looks fairly similar to how it has looked for a long time. There are changes, but the concept, the bones are the same. Mm-hmm. 5 years from now, what about YouTube looks or feels different?
Well, one thing that we didn't touch on, but I'll just touch on briefly here, is that everybody still, I think, probably primarily thinks about YouTube, or maybe not, but as as mobile. You watch it on your Android phone, on your iPhone, or what have you. But our fastest growing screen is actually the television screen, the screen that looks like this. And so I think one thing that you can expect from YouTube is really everywhere, especially in parts parts of the world outside of the US and North America. Like that growth of large screens is happening even more rapidly in many markets around the world, India, et cetera. So really being across all screens is a big thing from a viewer standpoint. And then the other thing that you should expect is more continued investment in creator tools. We're starting with things like, mobile first, shorts, short form, vertical video, but you should see that as more just as a template, as a place to start in terms of where it grows. And I think the basis of this is, our job is to build the world's best stage for video. It's our creators that are on the stage, and it's all of us as viewers that are watching that stage, and that's gotta be the best theater. That's sort of like the strategic vision for us, whether that's a 15-second short, 15-minute video, 15-hour live stream. YouTube has to be the place for that, because we're very different, I think, than any other platform. We're not a social media platform. We're not where you go to connect with friends. We're not a broadcaster. We're our own thing. We want to be the premier place for creation, sharing, and watching a video, and that's our vision.
I can't believe we made it through this whole thing without talking about Mr. Beast. Neal, thank you very much.
All right, Lucas. Good seeing you. Thank you.